What if the universe's greatest weapon wasn't enough to save a hero? Imagine answering a distress call and landing on a world that shouldn't exist. A world where the ground breathes, where the bodies of fallen lanterns are fused into the very landscape, and where even the power of the Green Lantern Corps is being drained into something far more terrifying. Today, you'll witness the horrifying final mission of Hal Jordan, a routine rescue that turned into an endless nightmare, and one from which even he may never escape. Hal Jordan had faced countless enemies, cosmic tyrants, godlike beings, and unimaginable horrors, but nothing could have prepared him for what was about to happen. A distress signal had reached his ring, coming from an uncharted sector of space. The transmission was weak, filled with static and distortions, but he could make out one thing. It was coming from a fellow Green Lantern. Someone was in danger. Someone needed his help. Without hesitation, Hal surged into hyperspace, pushing his ring to the limit as he raced toward the unknown coordinates. But as soon as he exited the warp tunnel, he felt it, a wrongness. Drifting before him was a planet unlike anything he had ever seen. It did not have the cold, rocky surface of a barren world. It was pulsating. Its colors shifted unnaturally, its surface appearing almost wet, almost organic. It was as if the entire planet was alive. Then he saw them, the bodies of Green Lanterns. Thousands of them, scattered across the landscape, their uniforms still flickering with dim, fading energy. But they weren't just dead. They were part of the planet, fused into its surface, their limbs and faces grotesquely stretched, their expressions frozen in terror. Hal landed cautiously, his boots sinking slightly into the strange, fleshy ground. The air was thick, humid, and every step made a sickening, wet sound. His ring flickered as it attempted to scan the planet. What it reported back was impossible. The entire world was a single living organism. It wasn't just a planet, it was a predator. Before Hal could react, his ring trembled. Its energy began to dim, as if something was actively draining its power. He willed a protective barrier around himself, but even that flickered. The planet was feeding off his ring, just as it had fed on the others before him. Then movement. The bodies, they twitched. Hal took a step back as he watched in horror. The fallen lanterns were moving, not of their own free will, but as if the planet itself was using them as puppets. Their mouths opened, their voices twisted, layered over one another in a sickening, dissonant chorus. "Stay with us." A surge of instinct told Hal to take off, to get as far from this cursed place as possible. But as he willed himself into the air, his flight faltered. His ring flickered again. The planet wasn't just feeding on his power, it was actively suppressing it. And now it knew he was here. Hal clenched his fist and conjured a construct, a massive blade of pure emerald energy. He swung it at the advancing figures, severing them from the ground. But as soon as they fell, the planet absorbed them again, reforming them as if they were merely extensions of its own flesh. His mind raced. How do you fight something that isn't truly alive? Something that is everywhere at once? He tried sending a distress call back to the core, but the ring's signal was jammed. A voice rumbled through the air, low and resonant, not coming from any single direction, but from the entire world itself. "You are the light." The surface of the planet rippled. The very ground beneath him breathed. "And I am the hunger that devours it." Then, the ground beneath him opened. A maw of vast, endless abyss yawned beneath Hal, pulling him downward with an unseen force. He struggled, using what little power remained in his ring to create an anchor, but the pull was too strong. As he was dragged downward, he saw them, more lanterns, deeper within the planet. Their rings were still attached to their fingers, but they no longer shone. They were trapped, drained, consumed by the living void that was this world. Hal gritted his teeth. He would not share their fate. He focused his remaining energy, forming a shield around himself. He didn't have the power to destroy the planet, but he could overload it. If it fed on lantern energy, then he would give it everything it could take, until it choked. He pressed both hands to the ground and willed his ring to output everything. A surge of green light erupted from his body, coursing through the planet's veins, saturating it with energy. The entity screamed. The walls around him twisted and convulsed, rejecting the raw power. The grip on his body weakened. Hal seized the moment and flew. he shot through the atmosphere, feeling his ring finally recharge now that he was free of the planet's influence. He looked back only once, watching as the world pulsed in agony. It wasn't dead. It would never be dead. But he had wounded it. That would have to be enough. Once he reached a safe distance, he activated his ring's communicator, sending a message back to OA. Code red. Uncharted sector. Do not respond to any distress calls from this location. This planet, it feeds on us. A pause. He stared at his ring, still glowing, still intact. Erase this place from all records. It can never be found again. Hal returned to OA in silence. The other lanterns asked what had happened. Where were the missing lanterns? Could they still be saved? Hal didn't answer, because he knew the truth. They were never missing. They had become part of the planet, and they would never leave. In the solitude of his quarters, Hal stared at his ring. It was still as bright as ever, but he could feel it, something lingering in the back of his mind. That planet had touched something inside him. Had it left a mark? He flexed his fingers, took a deep breath, and whispered a vow to himself. I will never return there. But deep inside, he knew the truth. That planet wasn't done with him yet. And so ends Hal Jordan's nightmare in the last flight of the Green Lantern. A mission that should never have happened, a planet that should never have been found. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more eerie and epic tales from the universe of heroes. And don't go anywhere yet. An incredible video is already appearing on your screen, ready to take you on another journey filled with mystery and terror. Thank you for watching. Until next time, and remember, some places in the universe should never be found.